Hello everyone, welcome back to Kimberland Cooks. So the sausage and pepper video didn't go so well. Turned out really good, but my video skills are not that great. So today we're going to move on. I'm going to try to fix that. I don't know if I can. We're going to make some candied jalapeños. And these are traditional canning method, and I hope you stick around and learn how to do this with me. It's really fun. All right, so these are half-pint jars that I have sterilized, and just go get some old towels and put next to your stove. They're gonna get dirty, messy. You might ruin them, who knows? But I'll show you what I do. I don't have a commercial canning system. I'm a little bit, this and that and whatever that I've collected over the years and added to. So what you do is you get a big old pot and you put a lot. This is a big pasta pot, okay? And I have two of these, and fill it about 2/3 of the way full of water, and you wash your little jars that I just showed you, and then you put them in this water and you boil them for a few minutes to sterilize them, and then you bring them over here to dry. And I use these handy dandy canning jar tongs is what I call them, to get the jars out. And we're gonna try to do this while I'm videoing, so y'all wish me luck here. So okay, so once they're done, you can reach in there and grab one. And these are wide mouths, though they're a little bit more challenging than the little ones, so just keep that in mind when you're doing this. Then sometimes I have to fish around for them, and my hands are not that big, so they're fat but not that big. So anyway, grab it around the top. I didn't get that on there very well, so be careful. Make sure all the water's out, and then you just bring it over here and set it on your towel, just like that, and let them cool. And then when I get done with these, we'll move on to, I'll show you how to sterilize or heat up the lids and things like that. So this is exciting. Here we go. Okay, folks, we're back. All right, we're gonna slice up these jalapenos. And I do not de-seed mine. What you want to do is cut the end off, and then I slice them about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, however I'm feeling that time. This is a jar that I made back in August. As you can see, I hope you can see it well enough. Yeah, there you go. And I cut those probably about 1/8, between 1/8 and 1/4. Just get close so they all cook evenly when you do cook them. It's raining here today. My dishwasher's running in the background. You can hear my washer in the laundry room running. And it's raining outside. We had some terrible storms here last night. I know a lot of tornadoes and a lot of people affected. Just keep those people in your thoughts, please. And if you're a praying person, they could use those too. Our family seems to have a little bit of damage, but nothing compared to what's going on in other places. So you see I'm wearing these gloves, right? So I talk about wearing gloves sometimes just for sanitary reasons. Well, I wear these gloves to protect myself from these peppers. You do not want to handle raw peppers, and then even when you wash your hands, some of those oils could still be there, and you go wipe your face, your eye, or whatever. It will burn, and it will not feel good. So these are plain old nitrile gloves. I do wash my hands with soap and water before I handle anything to make sure there's no chemicals or any powders, and these are not powdered on these gloves. So be sure and do that so that you don't have any of that stuff transferred. Okay, so once we get done, we use my handy dandy scooper I thought I would never need into a bowl, and I am going to weigh these once we get done cutting all these up. And I do not use my food processor for this, simply because I don't feel like the food processor slices them evenly. And if your jalapeno gets just a little bit, if it's not just perfectly straight up and down, it'll start making long slices, and then it just doesn't, they don't cook the same. Aesthetically, it doesn't look good. So I just do it the old-fashioned way. And cut these up. Watch out for bad spots. Some of these, I have about 10 or 12 pounds of jalapenos here. And I'll give you the basic recipe when we get to it, but a lot of these jalapenos came from our garden, and I'm so proud of our garden. Mr. Everything, he went out and picked these out of the garden for us this morning in the rain. Gotta love that man. Anyway, and I'm no sous chef. I don't have proper cutting skills. I know, Angie, if you're watching this, you're probably cringing because I'm not the safest when it comes to slicing up vegetables. So anyway, I am going to, you see the point and you see what I'm doing here. I'm not going to stand here and cut all these up and waste your time that way. So I will be back when we get these sliced up and go to the next step. Well, I'm back. I'm still slicing jalapenos, but I wanted to share a couple of tips with you. Also, I washed these jalapenos before I started slicing them and soaked them in some vinegar water to make sure that they didn't have any pesticides or anything still left on the outside. So the other thing is when you're gonna go grab those jars out of the water like I demonstrated earlier, turn the heat off so that the water stops boiling so you can see what you're grabbing out of the pan. It makes it so much easier. And in fine fashion, I just found out that I do not have enough sugar for this recipe. And my wonderful husband, Mr. Everything, he went to the store to get some more sugar for us. So anyways, funny story. Sorry, I got some background stuff going on here. The dishwasher finally stopped. You can probably still hear the rain outside. I have the door open because it's such a nice temperature and it's not really that humid, oddly enough. But anyway, oh, there goes the dishwasher again. You're gonna have a lot of leftover syrup when you get done with this, and my son thinks it's the best thing. My youngest thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread, and so I started canning this syrup, and it is so good to brush it on the tops of your hamburgers, chicken. I have not tried it on pork yet. Some people say they save this syrup and they've even eaten it on top of like vanilla ice cream. I'm not sure I'm ready to try that, but yeah, the syrup is really, really good. And some people will take and put this syrup in martinis, like jalapeno martinis. And so if you'll notice, some of these peppers have they're more dense on the inside than like this one. We picked it a little bit early out of the garden, but my jalapenos are hot, so they're gonna have a lot of seeds, and this will be a warm recipe probably. But anyway, funny story. I grew one year 5 different types of peppers, right? Jalapeno, serrano, Tabasco, habanero, serrano, Tabasco, jalapeno, habanero, and some other, I don't know if it was, can't remember. I think it was just red chili peppers. Anyway, I remember I had 5 different types, and so I grew them in pots, and that year, for whatever reason, I don't remember, but anyhow, I set those pots right next to each other, like right next to each other. So when they started getting taller and more mature, you know, they cross-pollinated. I had the hottest peppers I have ever had in my life. It was, whoo, they were hot. I ended up, they were so hot, we really didn't even, it really wasn't even fun to eat them because they were so warm. We gave bags full of peppers away that year to people who do like a lot of spice, a lot more than we do, and we like it spicy. But anyhow, so I ended up getting the dehydrator out and dehydrating those peppers and making like my own seasoning powder out of them. And oh my goodness, was it good. We used it in chili and different kinds of other recipes. Oh, it was good. But don't do what I did and grow your peppers right next to each other, the different types, because they will cross-pollinate most likely and cause you to have some strange or super hot peppers. Like these are hot. We didn't cross-pollinate these, but they're super hot because we fed them high nitrogen fertilizer, and that will make your peppers hotter. So just keep that in mind. And peppers love nitrogen. They love it. So that being said, I'm going to get back to my slicing ordeal over here, and I'll see you back in a few. Hello everyone, we're back. 3 years later and 45 more gray hairs, I finally got all these jalapenos cut up. Thanks to Mr. Everything, he helped finish it up for me. It is time consuming. Again, I don't use a regular slicer because I feel like it doesn't get good uniform slices. But anyway, there's one bowl. I have 3 bowls this size, and I ended up with right just over 9 pounds, about 9¼ pounds. And I did weigh these on a scale. You don't have to do that. I'm just doing it so you guys can understand the amounts. Okay, so let's go over here to the stove. Okay, y'all, and this takes a lot of sugar, and one recipe of this takes 6 cups of sugar and 2 cups of apple cider vinegar, ½ a teaspoon of turmeric, and ½ a teaspoon, about a tablespoon of cayenne. But you don't have to put that much in there if you don't want the heat. I would suggest you put a little bit in there though, because it helps the flavor. And then granulated garlic. And believe it or not, there's 9 tablespoons of granulated garlic in here. So, and that's because I tripled the recipe. A little over tripled the recipe. So typically you're only going to put 1 tablespoon of granulated garlic. So we'll give the whole recipe at the end because I've changed this up. So anyway, put it in a big pot, put it on the stove, stir it up really good. Stir it, you know, frequently. Don't let it sit and boil. But anyway, you want to turn it on pretty medium-high heat, and you want to bring this to a boil, stirring it frequently, and until all the sugar and stuff dissolves. About, I would say, when it comes to a boil, you're going to reduce it to a simmer, and you're going to continue cooking it for about 5 minutes. When I get done here, I'll show you what it looks like and tell you how long I cooked mine. I'll be back. Okay, we're back, and this mixture started boiling, and stir it frequently. You'll see the sugar will creep up the edges of the pot here, and everything's kind of mixed together pretty well. So I turned it down to a simmer, and I'm going to simmer it for about 5 minutes and total. Then, once it's done simmering, we're going to add the jalapenos. So get prepared for that. See how it's starting to form a syrup a little bit there on the spoon. This stuff is super sticky, so I recommend getting kind of like a non-stick what do you call it, spoon rest, and using that. And no, my stove is not clean. Mr. Everything made me breakfast this morning, and we cooked on it last night, so no, I have not cleaned it yet today. You guys are just going to have to live with it. All right, I'll be back when this is done simmering, and we'll go to the next step. Okay, we're back, and I have turned the heat down to almost low, and I've poured just a portion of these peppers in there. When I pour these in there, whoo, they're going to get stout. Just get ready for that. You can see that there's a lot of seeds left in the bowl there. I do not scrape all those out into my sauce. So here's the next bowl. We'll bring it over here. And I can't do this one-handed, so we'll see you in a second. All right, I have stirred in all of these jalapenos. When I first poured all 9 1/4 pounds in here, this was really full, like up to here. So just carefully keep turning them. Turn your heat up to about medium, and they will break down really fast. As you can see, they're already cooking down quickly. They shrink a lot. And so, as you can see, there's a lot of juice in there. We'll lose some of that during the cooking process, but it will be wondermous. And I just keep pushing these down as they're, cooking down to make sure that they are in the syrup that we just made. And yes, that I know it's a lot of sugar in this recipe, but there's vinegar in there and some other things, and with the heat, it makes the perfect combination of sweet heat. Some people, there's probably 40 or 50 different recipes out there for this, but some people also put celery seed in theirs. I do not do that. One, I think celery seed gives it kind of a pungent bite, and I don't like the little seeds. Even if they are softened a bit, I don't want all those seeds in my, they're harder than the jalapeno seeds. The jalapeno seeds get really soft while you're cooking them. Celery seeds, I don't feel like they do that as much, and I just don't like it. I don't like the texture, and I don't like the flavor that it imparts to the jalapenos. So I just don't put them in there. So you can see there's a few little red jalapenos in there. Those were turning red on the vine. They were pretty ripe. So I think it gives it a nice little pop of color. So anyway, I'm going to cook these because I tripled this recipe. I'm going to be cooking these a little bit longer than the normal recipe. You can cook this in batches if you don't have, if you want to make a bunch but you don't have pans or pots this large. You can cook it in batches, and it might even be easier if you feel like this is a lot to handle. I'll just be honest. So I have cooked this in batches before. It does take a lot longer, but it can be done. It's just a little time. So anyway, I hope all y'all are doing okay out there today, and you're feeling good about life in general and doing well. You guys ever hum when you cook? I do. I like cooking. My friend Dana told me it was my love language. I don't know really what that means, but I do love cooking for my family and friends, and I like it when they enjoy the food that I make. And I'm just a, plain old country cook. Haven't been to any kind of classes, or as you can tell from my knife skills, that I'm just a down-home kind of cook. I learned from ladies that were raised in the South, some in California, my grandmother, and she also lived in Yuma, Arizona for a while, and she also was born in Texas, so I got a good range of flavors and cooking. And also, my great-grandmother, who was from the Czech Republic, it was Czechoslovakia back then, she brought in a lot of flavors through my grandfather. So I was raised with a plethora of different types of dishes. So it's kind of cool. Alright, well, I'm going to let this cook and keep stirring it and making sure everything's turned over frequently. And in the meantime, what I'm doing while this is cooking is I've that water that we boiled the jars in, you see I have a I don't have a proper canner, so when you're boiling and sterilizing glass jars, you want to put a tea towel, or that is one of my crocheted dishcloths in there. Kind of gives the water a pink hue, but it's not pink really. But anyway, you want to put something like that in the bottom so that your glass jars don't break, or during the boiling or sterilization or canning process. So anyways, while I am getting this cooked down, I am reheating this water so that I can boil the lids to the jars. And I do that right before I put the ingredients into the jars, just so they're still warm and pliable, and they seal really well that way. So as you can see, we have some 1/4 pint jars, we have some full pint jars, and over here we have some 1/2 pint wide mouth jars and some 1/2 pint small mouth jars. These are all Ball brand. I will also tell you that if you're going to freeze any of these, check the box, okay? Check the box. Hang on a second and I'll go get a box for us. All right, we're back. I went and grabbed a box, and I lied. These little 1/4 pints are Kerr brand, and on the box it says here that they're freezer safe, wide mouth, and they're 1/2 pint jars. I thought they were, oh no, that's not them. These are them right here, I do believe. Yes, those are the Kerr 1/2 pints, the bigger ones. So those are freezer safe. The other jars that I purchased, these are all Ball jars, right? These here, and these here, and these here. They do not say that they're freezer safe on the box. Also, save this box, because once you're done, you can store your jars in there if you need to transport them or whatever. And that noise you hear right there is the water over here in my my canning pot. The water's starting to come to a boil. And these jalapenos are almost done. You can see how they've darkened up, and they've excuse me, woo, potent. They have softened up, and goodness. And they're just about ready to put into the cans. Now, I don't use this slotted spoon for that. I use a large scoop, and I'll show you that when we're ready. Okay, here's my super duper ladle with a strainer on the side. This works really well to strain your vegetables before you put them in your jar. And I have a large funnel. It's wide mouth, goes onto the jar. I start in the back because it's easier for me, but let me show you how to do it. I'm doing this one-handed, so the other thing I do, which I'm going to do right now because I didn't, is I take my spoon. I've made a mess over here. Turn off the heat before you do this, but put an old tea towel, one that you don't mind getting stained up or whatever, over your stove, burners and all that, because cleaning this up off of your stovetop is not easy. It's syrupy, it's thick, it's difficult. Alright, so we'll just keep on going here until I feel like this one is full. Alright, and then I take Okay, so I have these chopsticks, they're reusable. And I take, and if you'll see what I'm doing here, let me turn the fan off. There we go, that's better. All right, so I take and I just poke these down in there, right? And then I take my little thing and I move it, my funnel, and I move it over to the next jar. So you want to get these where they're about, I don't know, 1/2 to 1/4 inch from the top lid. And so then I will take a few more peppers and put in there. Well, not with that in the way. It's hard to do this one-handed. Okay. So I will take and put a few more peppers in there until I feel like it's close, okay? So there you go. And I usually do that with the funnel because I can see better. I'm not one-handed. But anyway, just poke them down in there with your stick, your chopstick. And then just keep moving on to each jar. And once you get them all filled, once I get them all filled, I'll come back and show you the next step. All right, folks, we're back. You can see I have scooped all the jalapenos out of there, and they're now all in their little jars. And let's see, I didn't fill up all the 1/4 pints because I'm gonna put some syrup in those 2 little ones. So I'll have a mixture of syrup, sizes of syrup for people who like it a little bit and those who like it a lot. So once you're done with that, okay, I have a smaller ladle. It's old, I know, it's plastic, whatever. Don't hate me. All right, so just start spooning this in until you're about 1/4 of an inch from the top. A little bit more. Okay, that's about right. Okay, now let me show you what to do. By the way, this ladle has a handy dandy little loop on the top, or the little, I don't know what you call it. Anyway, it makes it nice. So now you're going to take your chopstick and you're going to poke down into your jars and make sure and get all the bubbles out, okay? Just keep poking in there until you're sure you've gotten all the air out, right? Get all the way down in the bottom. You do not want air bubbles in there, okay? And then just keep doing that until you get done with all your jars, and come back and we'll basically cook our first batch. All right, so we're back, and now we're going to start putting lids on our jars. And before we do that, we have to wipe the edges of every jar, okay, with a nice hot, I wouldn't say soapy, just hot dishcloth. That way we don't have anything obstructing the seals around the top. And we'll start that now. All right, here's my pretty little dishcloth I made, and very easy to do. If you guys want one, I'm happy to make one for you. All right, so you just want to go around the top edges. Try not to get it inside the container, you know. Just wipe the edges down really good, just like that. Make sure there's no sticky stuff anywhere, no seeds, food, that kind of thing. Just want to make sure it's nice and clean, okay? And then you're going to take your little lid that you watched us cook earlier, and one of your little rings, and just put it down in there. And now you just finger tighten this, okay? You don't have to tighten it down a lot, you know, really heavy. Just make sure it's just sealed, okay? And you're going to do that to all of your jars, and then we'll put them in the canner. Okay, folks, these are all of my little 1/4 pints, and these will take different amounts of time to can depending on the size of the jar. So like this one takes about 4 minutes, this one takes about 15, the middle size takes about 8 to 10. So keep that in mind when you're making these, and I do not recommend mixing sizes. And you can always take the smaller ones out first if you want to put them on top, if you're stacking them, if you want to make sure you're canning them in for the right amount of time. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our handy dandy canning tongs, and we are going to start by, remember I said put these on finger tight. And don't do what I did and put your lids right next to where you're filling your jars, because you'll end up spilling stuff on the lids and have to go and re-sterilize them. So anyway, we take it over here to the canner, right? And I just kind of drop it down in there like that. And I just keep repeating that process, and just make sure they're, you know, they can be close together. It's okay. They're one big happy family. And there you go. Scoot it up next to, there we go. All right, we'll just keep going here, and we'll get all these in here. La 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 la. Now, also, I'm short, and this pot is very tall, so be careful with your arms. Oh, there's the thunder. We're having more storms move in. That's awful, guys, because we have so many people that have damage right now around the whole state. And it is not good. Okay, one thing I will caution you about. Try to make sure your cans, or your jars, I mean, are even down in the bottom of the pan. And I don't know why. I was just told that you need to do that, and so that's what I do. And my grandmother, you know, she taught me how to can. So, all right, so now you don't want to crowd them too much. So we'll stack these and just make sure that they're covered with a good 1/2 inch to 1 inch of water. And of course, the more cans you put in there, the more jars, I keep saying cans, the more jars you put in there, the deeper that water is going to get. So it's okay. There we go. All right, so that is our, those are our small jars. See if I can get them to balance. I did. Looky there. All right, I'll set the timer, and hey Siri, set timer for 4 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, folks, we're taking these out using the little tongs. Try to get the water off the top if you can. Okay, and we're gonna put them here in their little home. And that, I had 2 jars left over, by the way. Always clean more jars than you think you're gonna need. And I get about a pint per pound out of jalapenos, just so you know the ratio. But they're going to live here in this spot for the next 24 hours, so make sure it's a spot you can afford to give up in your kitchen or wherever you're canning at. I know some people they do this out on the patio over the barbecue grill, because it's, especially when it's hot out and it heats up your kitchen, it definitely, you get free sauna though, free facial. It's kind of cool, but people pay big money for that. I'm not one of those who goes to the spa all the time. I used to get my nails done all the time, but I just started doing my nails again recently before we went on a trip to Scotland. That was so much fun. If you guys ever had a chance to go, please embrace it. A lot of walking, a lot of stairs, a lot of physical activity. Scotland is definitely not ADA compliant like we have here in the U.S. Their buildings are so old that there would be no way they could convert every building to do that. So, all right. So I had the heat turned off while I was doing that, just to kind of make sure I can video and all the good stuff. Okay, so now I've turned the heat back on to high to get this back up to boiling, and you can hear it, it's already boiling. It's not going to take long. So I have taken my full pints now, they're ready to go, and they're going in the bath here. The canning bath is what they call it, some people. My grandmother and my great-grandmother canned. We canned a lot. We had a huge garden growing up, and she canned everything. I think she even canned watermelon one time. I don't know if I would ever attempt that, but she did. Okay, so I only have 4 full pints, but they need to be in here at least 15 minutes. So we're going to set the timer, and in the meantime, I'm going to work on putting the lids on all of these so that we're ready to go when these are done. See you in a few. Okay, folks, I am going to try and set up this camera, the phone, if I can get it to sit up there properly. Okay, so what you're looking at is, let me scoot this a little bit closer. There you go. Put the plug on the wall, sorry. All right, let's see if we can go this way. There. Now these are going to start popping in a minute, and it's the weirdest thing with me, but I love counting, listening to the pops. So I know if all my jars sealed or not. So I'm going to leave that running while I'm over here working on my lids to my other jars. And anyway, back to my grandmother. She canned watermelon one time, which I thought was very strange. My grandfather loved it. I never had the nerve to try it. I don't think any of the rest of my siblings tried it either. Anyway, I have a sister who is just a wonderful person. We definitely don't spend enough time together. She's got 2 kids who are just fantastically talented and have done really cool things with their lives. My nephew is about to graduate college. He's there at his college on a football, I think it's academic, if I remember right. It's academic scholarship, but he also plays football. And smart young man. He's got a lot to look forward to in his life. He's made good decisions, just really good. My niece went to college in New York City on a scholarship for dance, and she just got back from Europe, UK, that is. She's with a dance company that just went on tour out there. And oh my gosh, watching her is just so, I take so much joy and pleasure in that. And as a matter of fact, we were in Scotland, and she was in a different part of the UK, and we couldn't get over there to watch any of her shows, but a little too far to travel, and we had, of course, our trip planned out. But anyways, she's a talented young lady. My sister and brother-in-law are both talented as well. Very talented, smart people. So it doesn't surprise me. Those 2 are doing so well. And anyway, just kind of fun information about me. Hey, when you're putting these lids on, don't do like I did back in August when I was making these. I accidentally put 2 of the lids on in one jar, and I had to go back through every single jar to find which one I put 2 lids on. So be careful when you're putting them on there, that you double check. At least I hadn't put them in the canner yet, so I caught it because I ran out of lids. But anyways, so one of my goofball tricks that I pulled, things that I did. So I make my own coffee creamer. I don't know if you guys like, I have a little bit of coffee with my creamer, as everybody tells me. So my coffee is generally pretty tan, not dark at all, and unfortunately, when I drink coffee, it probably has way too much sugar in it. It's not good for me, I know, but it is something that I love, and I will not give up. So I don't eat a whole lot of sugar other than that. But anyway, last night, I decided I make creamer, and I use 1 can of sweetened condensed milk, okay? And about 2 to 2.5 cups of half and half. And I put it in a pan and I heat it up just to melt the sweetened condensed milk so it mixes with the half and half really well. And I get a really wonderful creamer. Sometimes I'll flavor it with different other things like, you know, chocolate or whatever, but anyhow, so last night I was making creamer, and I didn't set a timer, and I usually stay right there with it, because if you know anything about cooking milk, it can boil and scorch very easily. Well, I stepped away from the stove to go do something. I don't even remember what I was doing. I came back and my creamer was boiling over, and I had it on low, but I forgot that one of these burners on my stove top is a high output burner, and so it boiled over all over the stove. I cleaned up most of it, and then I had to come back and clean up the rest later, but it was just a mess, y'all. It was just a mess. But anyway, my stove is just a mess right now, so I apologize. And I think I ruined the cover on one of my other burners too, because it kind of baked into the top of the little, I have a gas cooktop, as you can see, but baked into the little cover for the burner. So yeah, but it's not the first time I boiled something over. Well, it won't be the last. Thankfully I didn't totally forget about it and set the house on fire or something like that. Just goes to show you that it's always a good idea, if you're busy and you got other things going on, you're multitasking, you might want to set yourself a timer so you don't forget. There's a big running joke in our family that it's not a family get together unless we burn the bread, because inevitably whoever's responsible for putting the bread in the oven, and every one of us have done it, we will forget about it and not set a timer, and we will burn the bread. So I can't even tell you how many family get-togethers we've had and the bread was burned. It's kind of funny. It's just a tradition, I think, in our family. But anyhow, so maybe one of these days, my friend Monica, who is a wonderful, wonderful lady, she's a very good friend, good person. She's been through a lot in her life, and man, she's my hero. I try to channel her when I'm going through something stressful or tough to deal with, and emotional situations, things like that, because man, that lady is strong. Well, anyway, she is Italian, and she makes oh, did you hear that? First pop went. And she makes one of the best lasagnas on the planet. And of course, it's a whole process. She makes her sauce from scratch, everything. It takes about 2 days to make her lasagna. Well, maybe one of these days I'll get her to come and cook with me, and we'll I don't know if she's willing to share the recipe with the world, but maybe she'll cook with me anyway, and we can make lasagna together and share it with you guys. But anyhow, my daughter-in-law makes these chicken enchiladas, and I don't think she has a recipe. She just throws this stuff together like it's, whatever, and it turns out so good, like better than the restaurants, in my opinion, better than the restaurants. But maybe we'll get her to share her recipe, and we'll make that together. She's not feeling well right now, but maybe when she starts feeling better someday. She's got a lot going on right now. But anyways, so you heard the little pop. So hopefully we hear the rest of them start popping here in any moment. It takes a little while for them to start popping. And what that pop is that's the seal. That's the seal pressurizing, the pressure inside the jar, and it's sealing, and it sucks that lid down, and that's what you hear the little pop. And I'll show you the lids if you've never canned before. Most of you probably know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm going to try to do this. You see the See this little bubble in the little bubble in the top right here? I hope you can see that. See, there's a little bubble in the center. Well, that's what gets sucked down and pops whenever these jars pressurize and seal. So anyway, they pressurize when they're in the canning water. I think that's how it goes. That's from what they told me. And then when you take it out, when the pressure starts changing, it sucks the lid down and seals it. That's not the scientific explanation. That's the redneck explanation. If y'all want to know about how it really works, go Google it. Go check the Googleator. Anyhow, well, it stopped thundering. It's not raining yet. Hopefully these storms aren't as severe as they were last night. And we took a beating last night, a serious beating all over the state. Kind of crazy. Mother Nature was not happy yesterday. Anyhow, lots of people without power and houses and cars and all kinds of things. It's kind of sad. So anyway, I hope you guys did something fun this weekend. I got to go to Hobby Lobby yesterday. That's always exciting for me. Everything I bought was on sale. I love it. I don't like paying full price for things. I will if it's just something I have to have or just I'm particular about, but it's just I can't wait for a sale or something. But I love sales and bargains. I don't know if any of you guys shop on the TEMU. I hear all kinds of crazy stuff about who it's owned by and how unsafe it is, and they have your information and all that. But I also hear a whole lot of people buying stuff there. Lots of videos out there. While we're waiting on that batch of jars to can, I wanted to show you this, and you probably already know, but we reuse our jars. These are reusable, right? If we don't give them away, we reuse them for the next time. So these little lids here, you're not technically supposed to reuse those, and I do not, because I don't trust the seal. The rings, obviously you can reuse them, but I give away a lot of things too. So you can go and buy just boxes of the rings and lids by themselves, or bands is what they call them, or you can buy just the lids, which are the little inserts in the middle there. And so I buy these so that we have them on hand when we reuse our jars. I just heard another jar pop. That's so satisfying. Anyway, see you in a few. All right, folks, the recipe. So as I was saying, I tripled this recipe, and I just wanted to go over the actual recipe that I use. There's different versions of this all over the internet. You might try a couple and see which one you like. I've kind of tweaked this to my own liking, so I don't know if the same recipe is out there. It probably is, but anyhow, so I can't take credit for it completely. I use 3 pounds of jalapenos fresh. Make sure they're firm, and try to check for bad spots when you're picking them at the grocery store. 2 cups of apple cider vinegar. I know there's a big debate on whether you use the apple cider vinegar with the mother or the generic, store brand apple cider vinegar. I've used both. I did not know the difference between the two. Save yourself some money and get the generic brand of apple cider vinegar. You probably won't know, and nobody will care. It'll still be great. Okay, next ingredient, 6 cups of sugar. Yep, 6 cups of sugar. Half a teaspoon of turmeric. I don't know if that's like tomato, but anyway, that's how I say it. 3 teaspoons of granulated garlic. Now, I know that sounds weird because 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon, but I say that in case you want to tone it down a little bit. You know, some people put more in there. That's the ratio that I've come up with. And then also 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. So if you're going to triple this like I did, you need 9 pounds, and I would buy more than 9. I would buy about 9.5, at least 9.5 pounds, because you're going to lose some weight with the stems and the tops that you throw away. Okay, so 9 pounds of jalapenos fresh, and 6 cups of apple cider vinegar, 18 cups of sugar. I know, 18 cups. 1.5 teaspoons of turmeric, and 3 tablespoons of granulated garlic. Okay, and 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon, it's the same, cayenne pepper. If you want to tone down the cayenne pepper, feel free to do so. I feel like leaving it out does this a disservice, this dish a disservice. Anyway, the sweet heat, and that's, you have so much sugar in there, that cayenne gives you a different level of heat, so you're not getting all that front-loaded jalapeno heat. You're getting some of that back palate heat from the cayenne pepper. I guess that was some, you know, cooking mumbo jumbo there. But anyway, so you have the recipe. You saw me go through the process. Feel free to reach out to me, comment, send me a message if you have questions or want to know. We have different things we do with this syrup, and I do put that in little decorative jars and give it away or sell it, either one. These are just for our using, you know. I'm going to keep that here and use it. And we might make some recipes with that. Maybe I'll do some videos with that stuff. And one more important thing that I can't believe I forgot to tell you. Okay, so once these are canned and you've let them set 24 hours and you've labeled them and you've rotated your canned goods and you're going to put them away, it's best to let these sit at least 2 weeks for them to mellow and all the flavors to come together. If you use them right now, they're good, but the flavors are going to be sharp and it's going to be a little hotter than if you will let these sit for 2 or 3 weeks. I would even say 3 to 4 weeks is better. So that's what we do anyway in our house. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Okay, folks, the moment you've been waiting for. All right, we're done making candied jalapenos. Another thing that is important to do is rotate your canned goods and to label them. So I will label them when we're done here. And matter of fact, one more step I forgot to tell you. Once you take them out, and remember how I told you those were going to live there for 24 hours, let them sit in that spot for 24 hours. Don't move them, disturb them, shake them, pick them up. Just leave them there. Check the seals to make sure that little bubble in the top has popped and sucked down in there and sealed well before you put them away. And you do not have to store your canned goods with these bands on there. I don't. The only time I get the band out is when we're going to open a jar or I'm going to give a jar away. And so that's just, you don't have to do it. A lot of people do because they feel like it's safer, but if they're sealed properly, this is not necessary. Okay, so once they've sat there for 24 hours, I clean them off with a hot soapy washcloth, because you can see, you know, there could be some stuff still sitting in there. And then I take a Sharpie, okay? This one happened to be red, but black, whatever. And I write what it is and the month, date, and year that I canned it. And then when I go to put them in my pantry, I make sure and pull the oldest jars forward and put the newest jars in the back. If you'll read the box on the ball mason jar box that these jars come in, it says that these are guaranteed to seal for up to 18 months. I think they put that on there as they've got sued probably at some point, and it's for their own protection, but these will last for years if they're stored properly. Don't store them outside. Don't store them in a really hot or really cold place. They back in the days, they would take them down to the root cellar, and which is basically what we call a tornado shelter. It's underground, and it stays temperate. The climate is temperate underground, right? It's not too hot, not too cold. So they would take their canned goods, and because they would have huge gardens back in the day, because we didn't have, you know, canned goods or a lot of that kind of stuff, or we couldn't afford it. And they would take and can everything that they could for the winter, so they would have food through the winter, and they would store it down in the root cellar. And I saw jars, and I've eaten canned goods that came out of the cellar or out of the right environment that were 15, 20 years old. So again, I'm not here to tell you they're gonna last that long. That's just what the box says. But anyway, rotate, so you use the oldest food first. And I would say that about any food that you're storing like that, is to rotate it so that you have the oldest up front when you're gonna eat it. Okay, other than that, our video's over. I think I'm gonna go make some hot chocolate with some big fat marshmallows. I'll show you here. Big fat marshmallows I got at the store. And because it's cold and rainy, it's a good day for it. We might go, it's not raining, we may go sit around the fire pit and have us a cup of hot chocolate. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good evening. See you next time. And hey, if you would, like my videos, watch them all the way through, share them with others, invite other people to like the channel. That's how we grow, and I can do more cooking videos for you. I hope this was interesting. Not a lot of people want to can food anymore, but I hope you found it interesting. Anyway, and my stories too. Some of them you might bore you, but anyhow, have a good day. See you next time.